the thing that ups it is when you're working with these kind of people doing this kind of material. This was as good as it gets.
He doesn't shout. He doesn't tweet. Sam Elliott just looks at you, and if you know what that look means, you know you're done.
They were all pretty hardcore. They were gentlemen. I mean, they weren't assholes.
For over 50 years, Elliott's carved out a space in Hollywood that doesn't bend, doesn't beg, and definitely doesn't apologize. He's played cowboys, killers, and ghosts, but the one thing he's never played is fake. And when he sees it in someone else, he doesn't hold back. Tombstone, The Big Lebowski, 1883. Elliott doesn't do special effects. He does grit, silence, slow burns that don't need explosions to feel like detonations. And when you walk into a western thinking it's just about boots and horses, he'll call your bluff. Because Sam doesn't care about star power, he cares about presence. And if yours doesn't ring true, he'll gut it with one sentence.
I've worked with a lot of really good people. If I hadn't have been that guy that truthfully or truly or not.
He's never gone after people lightly. But when something crosses the line, he says it, and once it's out, there's no walking it back. Here are the 6 actors Sam Elliott didn't just dislike, he straight up couldn't stand working with. Number 1. Benedict Cumberbatch. Sam Elliott didn't mince words. When he saw the power of the dog, he didn't roll his eyes or change the channel. He went on a podcast and lit it on fire. That's what all these DMN cowboys in that movie looked like, running around in chaps with no shirts on. What the hell is that? And he wasn't done. He called the film a piece of shite, and singled out Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as flat-out inauthentic, too clean, too British, too performative. Cumberbatch didn't clap back directly, but critics did. Articles flooded in calling Elliott outdated, bitter, even toxic. But Sam? He didn't budge an inch, because to him it wasn't personal, it was principle. Elliott grew up on real westerns. Gunsmoke, horses, dust, pain, not art house ambiguity in silk scarves, and watching Cumberbatch try to embody that world with a tight jaw and curled lip set him off. He later said, "That ain't the West I was raised on." The irony? Cumberbatch was nominated for an Oscar, the film was showered in praise, but Elliott didn't care. For him, there's a line between acting and posturing, and when you cross it, no amount of awards will save you. This wasn't a feud, it was a rejection of a version of masculinity that Elliott doesn't recognize and refuses to respect. Number 2. Bradley Cooper. Sam Elliott didn't call out Bradley Cooper by name, but he didn't have to. When A Star Is Born hit theaters, critics praised Cooper's gritty voice, quiet swagger, and brooding presence. But anyone familiar with Sam Elliott could tell exactly where that performance came from, and so could Sam. Cooper admitted he studied Elliott's speech patterns. He mimicked the deep drawling rasp, the walk, the silence between words thing. Then, just to seal it, he cast Elliott as his older brother in the film, basically acknowledging the imitation on screen. But Elliott wasn't flattered. In fact, when asked about it, he said, "I didn't even know he was doing me until we were halfway through filming." The tone wasn't admiration, it was annoyance. To Elliott, Cooper wasn't paying tribute, he was copying something he didn't earn. Sam's voice isn't a tool, it's a scar, a product of the life he lived, not a choice made in a vocal coach's studio. And that's what stung. The Star Is Born remake became a cultural moment. Cooper was nominated for Best Actor. But Elliott's role? It was sidelined, used to legitimize the performance, then pushed aside when the spotlight hit. Off the record, crew members say Elliott kept things professional, but cold, distant, respectful, but guarded. Because to him, imitation isn't flattery, it's theft. And the next time someone wants to borrow Sam Elliott's voice, they better come with something more than a microphone and a tan. Number 3. Sam Worthington. You won't find footage of Sam Elliott name-dropping Sam Worthington, but if you read between the lines, it's all there. Elliott's taken repeated shots at what he calls CGI cowboys, actors who throw on boots, stare at a green screen, and pretend they've earned the dust on their face. And no one fits that profile more than Worthington during his Avatar era. He was Hollywood's next big thing: action roles, war films, and even Western-inspired sci-fi. But to Elliott, it wasn't acting, it was posing. In one interview, Sam said, "A Western isn't about costumes and guns, it's about carrying the weight, and most of these new guys don't have it." No names, but the timing lined up perfectly with Worthington's run. Rumour has it, Elliott was offered a supporting role in a late 2000s genre film, but declined, saying he had no interest in playing babysitter to green-screen tough guys. Industry insiders say the lead in that same project was, you guessed it, Worthington. Elliott believes in roles that leave scars. Men who've been broken, rebuilt, and still walk like they're ready to break something else. Worthington, by contrast, felt factory-made. All stance, no soul. And while Avatar made billions, Elliott never gave it the time of day. He once said, "If I can't smell the dirt, I don't trust the story." To Sam, acting isn't pretending, it's remembering, and when someone shows up with no memory, just muscles and tech, they're not playing a cowboy, they're playing pretend. Number 4. Tom Cruise. Sam Elliott never slammed Tom Cruise directly, but listen closely, and the shade is there. Elliott's always had a problem with actors who run fast, talk loud, and call it grit. He's mentioned it in interviews, mocking action stars who treat every role like a mission and every stunt like a flex. Cruise built an empire doing just that. In one sit-down, Elliott said, "Real toughness isn't about how fast you reload, it's about how long you can stand still." He didn't name Cruise, he didn't have to. Elliott's entire persona stands in opposition to the Tom Cruise brand: silent, heavy, weathered. Cruise jumps out of planes, Elliott just stares, and people move. Industry rumors say Elliott was once floated as a supporting actor in a late-stage Mission Impossible sequel. His response: "Not my kind of operation." There's also tension around The Last Samurai. Cruise was praised for embodying discipline and honor, traits Elliott believes come from a lifetime, not a crash course. One source claimed Sam saw it as Hollywood cosplay. He's never disrespected Cruise's work ethic. In fact, he's acknowledged it. But that's where the respect ends, because to Elliott, pain isn't choreography, and you don't earn quiet power by sprinting through explosions. Cruise is adrenaline, Sam is aftermath, and that's why their paths never crossed on screen, and probably never will. Because to Elliott, the loudest guy in the room usually has the least to say. Number 5. Kevin Costner. On paper, Sam Elliott and Kevin Costner should be allies. They both built careers on westerns. They both carry that slow, deliberate presence, and they both look like they were born holding a rifle. But dig deeper, and you'll find a quiet tension, one that's been simmering for years. Elliott once described a certain wave of modern westerns as too polished, too theatrical, like a stage play in Boots. Around the same time, Costner was releasing Open Range and Hatfields and McCoys. Later came Yellowstone, where Costner became the poster boy for cowboy soap opera. Elliott never mentioned him by name, but the tone was unmistakable. "If your hat looks like it's never seen rain, I don't buy it," he said. He respects legacy, he respects range, but he doesn't respect performance that feels posed. And while fans lump Elliott and Costner together as old-school Western icons, the truth is, they come from different codes. Elliott has always leaned into silence, grit, and scars. Costner, on the other hand, leans into speeches, family drama, and big music cues. He's the Hollywood version of rugged. Behind the scenes, industry insiders claim Elliott passed on a high-profile streaming project that Costner was executive producing. "Too glossy," he allegedly said. Whether it's personal or just artistic, the result is clear. They've never worked together, not once. And at this point, they probably never will. Because for Sam, a cowboy isn't made by screen time or star status. It's made by what's left unsaid. And Costner, he talks too much. Number 6. Johnny Depp. Sam Elliott doesn't go looking for fights. But when someone disrespects the West, he sharpens every word like a blade. In 2013, Johnny Depp took on The Lone Ranger, a $250 million Disney behemoth meant to revive the Western for a new generation. Big budget, big press, bigger ego. And for Elliott, it was the exact kind of thing that killed everything the genre stood for. Depp wasn't even playing the Ranger. He was Tonto, covered in white face paint, eyes painted in black streaks, a dead bird balanced on his head like a joke that went on too long. He whispered lines, delivered cryptic wisdom, moved like a ghost in an art school project. And Elliott? He saw all of it for what it was. They turned a Western into a costume party, he said. He never named Depp. He didn't need to. The tone in his voice did all the work. To Elliott, the West isn't fashion. It's blood, it's pain, dirt, silence, and shame. And watching someone like Depp turn it into something stylized and surreal was worse than bad acting. It was disrespect. Even worse, the role of Tonto itself sparked backlash from indigenous communities, accusing the film of misrepresentation and cultural theft. Elliott didn't speak on that part publicly. He didn't have to, because what bothered him wasn't just the role. It was the performance. It was someone stepping into a world Elliott lived and breathed and treating it like a stage. It was the difference between memory and mockery. Depp didn't respond, but the film tanked. Critics panned it, and Elliott quietly returned to what he always did best: silence that speaks louder than applause. He later said, "If you're gonna play cowboy, at least respect the dust." Johnny Depp didn't respect the dust. He polished it, painted it, rewrote it. And Sam? He never forgot it. Because in the West you don't get second chances to prove who you are. And when you fake it, you ride alone. Sam Elliott doesn't explode, he doesn't rant. He just speaks when it matters, and when he does, it stays. This list isn't about personal grudges. It's about something deeper. Respect for the craft, for the genre, for the weight of silence, and the truth behind the eyes. The West doesn't forgive flash, it rewards authenticity. And Elliott's not here to make friends, he's here to protect what made him. Some actors he called out directly, others? He just let the silence do the talking. But either way, when Sam Elliott says you don't belong in a saddle, that judgment doesn't fade. Let me know which name surprised you the most. Drop it in the comments, hit like if you made it this far, and don't forget to subscribe. Want early access to breakdowns like this? Join the channel as a member, because the next story hits hard.